The DNC is getting ready to rob the progressive wing again, but this time the wing has a new coup fund.
As I was president of Leaders We Deserve in the years prior to this, where we worked in primaries to help elect young Democrats to state legislatures and Congress. And I want to clear one thing up. This is not an issue that we're taking with age in particular. Look, there are ineffective older people and ineffective younger people across our party. What we're trying to do here is not just focus on primaries where there's potentially an older incumbent, but more than anything, an ineffective person in that position, and replace them with a generational leader.
Hogg and millennials hate the old guard like Carville, and let's just say the feeling's mutual.
Why don't somebody sue David Hogg? He's an officer of the Democratic National Committee. He is the vice chairman of the Democratic National Committee, and he's running against other Democrats. He's being paid to run against other Democrats. I think it's an outrage. I don't know if I have standing, but I might give the DNC $10 and sue him. He's a contemptible little twerp.
Here at the Chris Highland Show, really appreciate everybody rolling up. This is absolutely, I think, the best story running. We got a bunch of bad stories. We're going to be covering some things that will absolutely make your blood boil, as we've got the Supreme Court with an egregious decision, which may not be so egregious when you listen to some legal experts, but we're going to get into that. But we have got to get into the Dem Civil War, which just absolutely has me rolling with laughter. I can't believe they actually elected this buffoon to vice DNC chair. I mean, the kid's like 24 years old. He's proven he doesn't have a brain in his head, but because he was a Parkland survivor and because he came out against guns, let's ban all weapons, then he's the darling of the left. And now he is the darling of the ultra progressive left. He is all in with the AOCs and the Bernies and the Ilhan Omars, the socialist Islamofascists of the world. He's their poster kid. And here we go with Dem Civil War. It is raging. It is getting worse. They are having absolute meltdowns on talk shows. And then you've got Reince Priebus, who just owns it. So we're going to get into all that. Then we're going to get into some of the more solemn, somber, infuriating news of the day. But I really want to thank everybody for rolling up. I hope you had a wonderful resurrection weekend, celebrating the resurrection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you so much for joining me here. Resnap in the house. First one in. Check that out. The new channel. Here you are. I think this is the first time you've been on the new channel, Rez. So thanks for being here. Gene Nunez Tovern is in the house. Justin is in the house. Thanks for rolling up. Really appreciate you being here. You guys are awesome. So let's get into this. This is absolutely fantastic. So before we do, please smash that like button, subscribe to the new channel at the Chris Highland Show. Share this if you like this content. Please share it with everybody that you know. But again, smash the like button, turn on the notifications, leave us some love in the comments. Really appreciate everybody being here. Let's dive right in. So the first clip we got, so on This Week with David Brinkley, one of the weekend shows, I used to call it Meet the Depressed, one of the other weekend shows. But anyway, so we've got, this used to be with David Brinkley. Now it's something totally different. But anyway, it's ABC News, and they've got David Hogg on there with Donna Brazile. But let's just watch the fireworks happen. This is absolutely hilarious stuff. Here we go. Oops.
Trust in all of our institutions, the media, business, whole civil society. We're in a crisis. I don't know if we want to call it a constitutional crisis, but we're in, as former President Biden was here, an inflection point. Look, I think what David is trying to do is to not just help to re-energize the party, but to help rebrand the Democratic Party. The concern that officers of the DNC right now, they have signed the neutrality pledge. David did not sign the neutrality pledge. So he's in hot water with Ken. I told him he threw a rock in the water, and him and the two of them and the officers, they got to get out of the hot water. But that's not my position right now. My position is many of these so-called safe blue seats, and I can get in trouble. Many of them are seats that women and minorities finally had an opportunity to come and sit in, because there were no seats at the table for us. So before you start wiping clean the menu and the plates and the seats, be very careful, because many of those seats are in
As a
districts where we
former
are.
party chairman, Durrance, how would you handle a vice chair who was going to primary?
Well, I'll answer and then I'll explain it. I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately, David, I'd have you removed from the party.
They're
I mean, this is just great stuff. So you got David Hogg, who has said, we've covered this on previous videos, please go watch them, that he is going to spend at least $20 million from another PAC, another committee that he sits on, to primary existing elitist establishment Dems. And you've got now, so now he's already split the party that way, or splitting the party. So he's got the who's he going to primary. So he is further bifurcating the party in between the ultra left progressive, because that's where he sits. He wants ultra left progressives in these seats versus the establishment. But some of these establishment people that are going to have to give way if Hogg has his way, if he gets his wish, some of the people that are going to have to give way in the establishment are women and minorities. So now he's essentially trifurcated, if that's even a word, the Democrat Party. He's got the establishment now versus the progressive, ultra progressive wing. But now he's got Donna Brazile carving out the women and minorities, whether they're establishment or not, saying, leave us alone. So you've really got three factions now at play. This is absolutely hilarious to watch. It's a complete crap show. Now, I was saying that he's going to spend $20 million that he raised in another committee. And that's what Reince Priebus was talking about. He's essentially double dipping. He is the vice DNC chair. He's also the chair of another committee that has raised a bunch of money, and he wants to take that money, that $20 million, and spend it against the members of his own party. You can't make this stuff up. And all the while, they are shoving the Democrat Party further and further and further to the extreme, ultra extreme left. Now, anybody who doubts that the Democrat Party is already, they are left of left. The Democrat Party of the Kennedys, the Democrat Party of, of the Eisenhowers, that's gone. That party is unrecognizable to these people. And vice versa, this party would be unrecognizable to the JFKs of the world. They would look at this and go, what are these people talking about? The fact that they are so in with the globalists, with the military-industrial complex, with the anti-American crowd, with the extreme left, transgender ideology crowd, would make this party an anathema to someone like JFK. And so you've got the party has already gone super far left. Hence, look at the Newsoms, look at the Hillary Clintons of the world. But even that group is still not as far left as AOC and Bernie Sanders, who are full-on communists. They're full-on socialists. That's who they are. They want to completely gut and destroy America, rip it down by its foundations, and hand it over to a globalist aristocracy, to the Green New Deal tyranny, to the transgender LGBTQIA++++ tyranny, to all of the tyrannies of the world that they can think of, to the intersectionality victim Olympics tyranny. They want to destroy it in favor of something new that they have no vision for, other than they want to go to some measure of communist CCP in China, a combination of old Soviet Soviet communism and the new CCP communism, and in there allow for everything under the sun like LGBTQIA, which the CCP doesn't allow for. So that's where we sit with this nonsense. And it's absolutely hilarious. I love this. I mean, the fact that they are going to gut and destroy their own party ahead of the midterms is beautiful. Keep going. I say root them on. Go, 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 David Hogg. You have at it. You and AOC and Bernie Sanders, just have your day. Let's go run all the big rallies that you can run. Let's pay all of the shill protesters, all of the liberal white women and or liberal retired people that you get out to protest that look like a bunch of essentially retired trans people. Let's keep doing that, because the American people are not buying it. The American people see through this. They don't want any part of a party that is led by AOC. And that's the latest poll. AOC is within striking distance in terms of who is the next leader of the party. Who do you want to be, the nominee in 28? AOC is within single digit striking distance of Kamala Harris. And you've already got Democrats saying that Kamala Harris was the worst thing that ever happened to the Democrat Party, that she single-handedly destroyed it. So this is absolutely beautiful. Now, I want to get into this next one because Reince Priebus and David Hogg get in on it. And I love what Reince had to say because he pushes back on Hogg's ridiculous leftist complete disinformation campaign that the rest of the Democrat Party, the one message that they are on, they are completely on rudderless. They have no message except for one message, and that is, let's bring all the criminal illegals back. We fight for them, not for you. Here we go.
Be very careful because many of those seats are in
As a
districts where we
former
are.
party chairman, Reince, how would you handle a vice chair who was going to primary?
Well, I'll answer and then I'll explain it. I mean, unfortunately, David, I'd have you removed from the party because I think, number one, I think you're sincere. I don't question that. I think you're right. The Democrats are a complete mess. They have no movement.
I don't think that's exactly what he said.
He said they've got no message. They've got no movement. They've got no leader. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. I mean, you're defending Harvard. You're traveling to El Salvador for MS-13 gang members. But here's the point.
Alleged.
You're taking $20 million. If I'm looking at someone, my vice chair, the RNC, taking $20 million for another effort, it's $20 million out of the DNC's pocket. You can't be on the board of the Fishing and Forest Company and on Greenpeace at the same time. There are places for groups to hold the party accountable. I think it's right.
Yeah,
Let me push back against that.
ahead.
This was not an MS-13 gang member, and you damn well know that.
Oh, come on.
He was not.
Okay,
and
so
Please keep saying that nonsense.
the
this guy.
the
You're just
administration
digging
admitted
your
this
own
was wrong.
hole.
In America, we
Yeah,
have
and
due
he's got a
process, and we
tattoo
are a
on his
land
hand
of law
and he's here
and
illegally.
order. We are a land of law and order. And this administration is repeatedly showing time and time again they do not. Supreme Court says they do not care about the rule of law, and you cannot defend sending people to another
CNN
country.
just did a poll that
to
said
another
that
country where they
most
don't have
Americans
rights,
think
where
that
he's being
all
denied
illegal
counsel, due
immigrants
process,
should be
and so much
deported,
more.
by the way.
Please, David Hogg, please keep going down this road. Grab AOC, grab Bernie Sanders, two profoundly unpopular people with anybody who's mainstream, and let's go argue for illegal criminals in this country. Meanwhile, Trump will stand with Rachel Marin, or now Patty Marin, Rachel's mother, the parents of Lake and Riley, the parents of Jocelyn Nungare. He will put them all over TV, as he has done over the last several days, and say, this is the contrast. I mean, David Hogg, to say he's absolutely not an MS-13 gang member, and you damn well know it, is completely and utterly false. Everybody knows he's a gang member. Remember, he stood, Kilmar Abrego Garcia stood in front of two immigration judges and had two adjudicated hearings. And both of those immigration judges said he's a gang member, and they issued deportation orders, must deport. His gang membership has been corroborated by the tattoos that he wears. It has been corroborated by the fact that he was arrested with two other MS-13 gang members when he was picked up. He had rolls of cash and drugs on his person. Salvadorian intelligence has confirmed he is an MS-13 gang member. He's an MS-13 gang member 3 ways from Sunday. It's just ridiculous. But if they want to keep going down this road, the American people see through this nonsense. They don't want Kilmar Abrego Garcia here. Add to that the party of protecting women. Kilmar Abrego Garcia had 2 protective orders issued against him by his current wife for domestic violence. I mean, the fact that this is going this direction is going to be very, very bad for the Democrats because the American people want these people gone. Reince Priebus is absolutely right. Harry Enton had it on CNN. We covered this in a previous video. 56% of all Americans surveyed want every single illegal alien deported, not just the criminals, not just the MS-13 gang members. Yes, let's start there. They want them all gone. And so you are not going to get any support from the American people on this nonsense. And no, the 9-0 Supreme Court decision did not say to repatriate Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They said that they cannot dictate the foreign policy of the executive branch, the Article 2 executive branch, but that it must facilitate his return. In other words, put up no barriers against. The Trump administration said, sure, if El Salvador wants to send them back. They were in a news conference in the Oval Office. And Caitlin Collins, loser Caitlin Collins, said to Bukele, the president of El Salvador, hey, are you gonna send him back? He's like, no. What am I supposed to do? Smuggle him into the country? And I'm not going to release him in my country. He's a terrorist and he's a gangbanger and he's going to stay in prison. So this is not going to go well for the Dems because they are not on the right side of history on this one. They are again siding with the 20%. And even former Speaker McCarthy has that understanding. Check this out.
Is here now. Mr. Speaker, it's great to see you tonight. Let's start with, if we could, the mechanics of politics, sort of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Pretty unprecedented, is it not, for a DNC vice chair to talk about putting money towards primarying Democrats?
Unheard of. The DNC is supposed to unite the party, but what we're watching live is a civil war inside the Democratic Party, and they're fighting for new leadership, and this is what's going to happen.
Isn't it juicy? I love that term. I love the term civil war inside the Democrat Party. I mean, it just makes my heart glad.
Remember, AOC did this exact same thing a couple years ago, and the party tried to shut her down when she would primary other members in Congress. But she raised the most money of any member in Congress in the last quarter. She's getting the biggest crowds. And this is what I predict. They're going to fight to see who becomes leader of this party. Right now, it's really AOC and Bernie Sanders. But this is what's going to happen. They're going to run against Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Schumer, and Hakeem. That will be a motivating factor. They will raise more money running against Democrats than they will running against Republicans. And whoever comes out of that will become the leader of the Democratic Party. And if they go so far, remember, AOC and Bernie Sanders are socialists. They literally registered as socialists. AOC came into the party campaigning for Bernie Sanders. This is so far how far this party has moved, and it shows. They are more at home going to a Latin American country than fighting for a hardworking American.
Yeah, if that side, if that wing of Democrats raises the most money, wins the most primaries, you would have to believe, if you still believe in America, I honestly say this, if you still believe in America, that is a recipe for failure for them on the national stage in a general election.
By far, but there's something Republicans have to understand too. Then there's about 1/3 of Democrats who's been beginning to question their own party that you can be reaching out to. And this is where President Trump is so good, where he's able to move and work. Ronald Reagan did this in Michigan. But if you look at what Donald Trump was able to do that last election, every single swing state, not one, every single swing state he has won. The party needs to be able to move that same way and be opening and welcoming to new people. Remember.
Exactly. The party needs to absolutely, because right now, when Trump runs, the party wins. When Trump doesn't, the party loses, because the party, although Trump is remaking the Republican Party in his vision of the new GOP coalition, the Republican Party needs to embrace that as well, so that in the midterms, they can go gather all of those union, disaffected, middle-class, working-class Americans who want nothing to do with illegals, nothing to do with criminals, nothing to do with socialists like AOC, who they are a third of the party what may well defect if the Republicans give them some place to go. And we can do that without watering down our own values, without watering down our own America First MAGA principles. Trump, and if he can get the Republican Party, the Republican New Guard establishment on board, they can absolutely decimate the Democrats for years and years and years to come. So let's hope they make it happen. Hey, thanks everybody for rolling up. We have 2 more segments. Just want to take a brief break. Please smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications if you like the content. Please share this with everybody that you know. Let us help us grow the channel. You guys are amazing. If you'd like to support us, you can do so as a member on YouTube. Now that we are monetized, run out. You can join us on Patreon as well. Thanks so much for being here. All right, I want to jump to some more sobering news, and that is the Supreme Court decision that rolled out here right before the weekend. And this is not something that makes me terribly happy. The Supreme Court, it's been vacillating. Sometimes they're on our side. Sometimes they're an extreme disappointment. In general, the Article 3 judicial branch of government since Donald Trump's inauguration has been a complete and utter disappointment. They have been complete and utter socialist, communist, stick in the mud in terms of they have tried to destroy Trump's agenda, tried to destroy his mandate at every single turn. It's almost like one step forward, one step back. When Donald Trump issues orders, executive orders, when his administration goes and tries to effectuate the will, I'm going to use that word, effectuate the will of the American people, which is deport all these criminal illegals and all illegals in general, the court and the ACLU are essentially standing in Trump's way. And the court, the lower court, tyrannical, black-robed, inferior district court judges are allowing it to happen. Now, most of the time when it's got to the Supreme Court, Trump has won. On this particular one, though, we have a delay. Now, it's a limited delay, but let's dive into this.
Legal fallout from the Supreme Court's order to halt deportation flights. Former federal prosecutor and former acting ICE director, Jonathan Fahey. Jonathan, thanks for coming in on this holiday weekend. Great to have you. Want to ask you right off the bat about this midnight Supreme Court decision and what this does to the administration's plans to deport these illegal immigrants. This has got to be a blow to the White House, no?
I wouldn't read that much into it. I think what's going on here is basically they're going to put a pause and maybe put some process in place for how to use the Alien Enemies Act. I don't think they're going to declare it improperly used or unconstitutional here. They're just probably going to put some steps in place to say you must do certain things under this to deport people. And they knew if people got deported beforehand, they wouldn't get that process. So my guess is it's going to move along and the administration will still be able to use this. And the good news is it will provide some clarity as to how to use it, when it's appropriate, when it's not. That's my expectation. Obviously, I don't have any inside knowledge, but my expectation is they will be able to continue to use this.
So let's hope he's right. I've been studying this. I've been trying to figure out where this ruling came from because Alito and Clarence Thomas absolutely lambasted this ruling. Their dissenting opinion was, it essentially said that this could be, the Supreme Court decision itself could be unlawful, was how far they went in terms of the Supreme Court halting deportations, which is a plenary power of the executive branch, of the president. And this has never before been challenged. We're going to get into that. So let's keep going with this and we'll dive into a couple other videos.
And threatening the school's ability to enroll international students if the Ivy League doesn't submit records on...
It's just sort of a temporary bump in the road. And remember, these people, if they were going to be deported under that, they're still at least detained in ICE custody now, so keeping the American people safe in the interim.
All right, well, we'll be keeping our eye on that one. We also...
Okay, so here's what I hope the Trump administration does. And that is, I hope that they, given this, first of all, no one's going to be released. I honestly believe Trump's just going to hold on to all these people. Right now, they're in ICE detainers. So in the meantime, if this is going to take a protracted amount of time, ship them off to Guantanamo. I mean, let's expand Guantanamo to house hundreds of thousands of people and ship them all there if we have to. That's my personal opinion. But anyway, so as he says, this might just be taking a pause and this might be the Supreme Court saying, hey, you can't deport these particular people because this decision it's not a nationwide injunction. It's none of that. It's for a specific group of people in Texas who are being deported, I believe, specifically to CCOT in El Salvador. And they want the appellate division to weigh in that would then give the Supreme Court the ability to weigh in because they're going to follow process. They're not going to jump any other court. So I want to dive into that aspect. We're going to actually look at the Supreme Court decision, at least elements of it, and then we're going to follow up on this. But let's dive into so TPM. So Newsmax had a segment that I want you to see. Check this out.
Over the weekend, we got somewhat of a surprise decision from the Supreme Court in a 7-2 decision. The High Court is putting a temporary injunction in place banning these deportation flights of suspected gang members to El Salvador. Back with us now is Ari Hoffman, the associate editor of the Post Millennial. Ari, what was your reaction when you found out that John Roberts and the 7 other justices decided that President Trump doesn't have this authority under the Alien Enemies Act?
Well, I was kind of conflicted because all the people on the left are always saying, well, this is Donald Trump's Supreme Court, and then look how they ruled on this one. But at the same time, I didn't understand the decision at all. I mean, you look at Presidents Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, the amount of illegals that they deported without even using the Alien Enemies Act, and that was allowed with no problem. So is it they don't like the Alien Enemies Act, or is it they don't like deportations? Whatever the case may be, it was also a little odd that they did this seemingly over the weekend in the middle of the night without sending it back to the lower courts. In fact, Justice Alito and Justice Clarence Thomas both called them out for this in their dissenting opinion.
Yeah, I imagine it was a little awkward around the Supreme Court this morning when everyone showed up. I'm just kidding, of course. I know they have their own different way of doing things. But this to a non-legal mind like myself, I think this does begs, the decision here by the justices begs question. Are they expecting Congress to weigh in here and to decide what is a war and what isn't a war, which would then limit the president's power to do so? Well, I think what's concerning for many of us who are familiar with Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3 of the Constitution is this does seem like the judiciary taking away the power of the executive branch, the commander-in-chief.
Absolutely, it does. But then we have all the laws that were enacted after 9/11. So by making all these gangs terrorist organizations, then you know what? They've set up a different option for this. Send them to Gitmo, give them all terror trials the way we did with the people from Al-Qaeda. They still don't have to be in the U.S. and you're not deporting them. I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of people. So I don't know if Gitmo has the capacity for that. But we're also talking about super violent gang members, many of which have already had their day in court.
Right.
So this seems a very conflicting ruling that I don't really understand. It seems like the justices aren't actually going by the rule of law. It seems like they're more going with whatever they're feeling at the current moment.
So I completely agree with him. If need be, ship these people all to Gitmo. Or let's build giant camps in Texas if we have to, out in the middle of the desert, and stick them all there. But no one should be released, period. But he's absolutely right. Bush and other presidents have absolutely deported people ad nauseum. We have that right here. It's just amazing that this all happened without any problem previously. So 12.3 million deportations, 10 million deportations, 5 million. Trump's trying to do it, and he's got 30 injunctions. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Now, I do want to look at the actual wording of part of this ruling, because I think that might help us make a little bit of sense of this. So check this out. All right. So government is directed not to remove any member of the putative class of detainees from the United States. So they're talking about this specific group of people in Texas. So this is not a nationwide injunction. It's none of that. And I thought there was a different one I thought I had, but I'm going to look. So all right. I've got the wrong clip. Anyway, so it was specific. It's specific to a group of people. It's not a nationwide injunction. We don't have to worry about that. And I believe in listening to these two gentlemen that what we've got is the court taking a pause, allowing the appellate court hopefully to weigh in, and then we might get back. What they may be looking at is the actual Alien Sedition Act and how it's being used And do they want to weigh in on that? But either way, this is a delay that Trump does not need to have, because we need to get to deporting 10,000 plus illegal immigrants a day. If we get to 10,000 a day, we'll be about 3.6 million a year. At the end of Trump's term, we would be north of 15 million deported. That's where we need to be. So let's hope that the Pam Bondi Justice Department, those arguing before the Supreme Court, can get this not reversed, but get this pushed through the system so that we can get back to mass deportations. At the same time, if we're not flying them to El Salvador, let's keep massively deporting everybody that we can. Let's get these illegals out of the country. All right, I've got one more segment that I want to get to. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Capo, Lynn Sanger in the house. Really appreciate you guys. You are awesome. Again, please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know how we're doing. If you like the content, please share it with everybody that you know. So finally, I want to get to this last one, which is just absolutely amazing. That we've got 4 more ridiculous Democrats flying down to El Salvador in order to try to effectuate the release of a criminal, illegal gangbanger terrorist. All right, so let's dive right into this, because again, this goes right back to the civil war within the Democrat Party. They are pushing themselves so far to the left, they're going to alienate what is left of any working class American that stands with them. Here we go.
4 House Democrats are in El Salvador this morning trying to secure the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. This comes just days after Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen's visit. We heard from the senator just a few moments ago. The lawmakers say they plan to meet with Salvadorian officials at the U.S. Embassy to advocate for Abrego Garcia's return and get information on the other migrants who were deported to a notorious Salvadorian prison. Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia of California is leading the delegation and joins us now live from El Salvador. Congressman, good morning. Thank you for being with us this morning. You're there with 3 fellow Democrats. Talk to us, just start why this mission here is so important, and not just about Mr. Abrego Garcia, but all the others who were deported, many would say, without due process.
Good morning. Yes. Look, what's really important here that people need to understand is we have the President of the United States defying a 9-0 unanimous Supreme Court decision to bring Kilmar back home to the United States. This, in my opinion, is on its way to a constitutional crisis in this country. You cannot defy not just Supreme Court, but also lower courts. The Trump administration has also said that they sent Mr. Abrego Garcia here on accident. It is time to bring Kilmar home, and we're continuing the work of Senator Van Hollen. Look, we will not be the last members of the delegation to be here. There's other senators and members of Congress that will be here in El Salvador. But it's really important that we advocate for his release. He has been wrongly sent here, as have, by the way, hundreds of other individuals who are in our country in different status, asylum seekers, people that were on some type of permit.
So these people are absolutely ridiculous. They are spending taxpayer money going to a foreign country, demanding the release of someone that they have in prison, not a citizen of the United States. They're not demanding that a citizen of the U.S. be released. No, they're demanding that a citizen of El Salvador be released from El Salvadorian prison and that he be sent back to the United States. I am absolutely in favor of Pam Bondi's Justice Department rounding up Van Hollen and these 4 other idiots and prosecuting them for violations of the Logan Act. The Logan Act, which says you cannot, if you're not the president, run out and effectuate or attempt to push foreign policy that is against that of the United States, that of the Article 2 elected executive. Go prosecute these people under the Logan Act. Let's get it done. Let's make it happen, because this is egregious. He is a citizen of El Salvador. He is not a citizen of the United States. He has no constitutional rights as a citizen, since he's not a citizen of the United States. There are some legal responsibilities that the United States has towards him, i.e., he cannot be incarcerated here, tortured here, things like that. But he can absolutely be detained and deported. He is an illegal in the United States of America, and that's what happened. He was detained and deported. And that's exactly what should happen. This idea that he was mistakenly, no. There was a withholding order, which according to the administration was void once Donald Trump declared MS-13 a terrorist organization, and him being a member of MS-13 meant he was a member of a terrorist organization. So withholding orders didn't apply. But either way, he is never, ever going to live in the United States. But that's what these 5 idiots want. They want him repatriated to live free in the United States. That is never going to happen. And it's even worse than what this particular man said. We came down here to advocate. Oh, no. Check this out from one of the other ridiculous legislators who went down there in order to quote unquote advocate for his release.
Congresswoman Maxine Dexter here, coming to you from El Salvador. I flew here last night with 3 of my colleagues to demand that Kilmar Abrego Garcia be released. He is being held in violation of a Supreme Court order expressly telling the Trump administration to effectuate and facilitate his coming home. That is being ignored. This is not just a threat to all people in the United States who could be illegally abducted, detained, and transported internationally against their will, but it is a fact that our president does not recognize the branches of government and the balances of power. This is what we all have been calling a constitutional crisis, yet it is more severe than anything we've seen. We cannot stay silent. We must stay loud. I am here because I refuse to wait.
So she is there in El Salvador demanding the release of a known gangbanger, terrorist, and citizen of El Salvador. She is in El Salvador demanding that a sovereign foreign government release one of their criminals, one of their prisoners, and send him to the United States. What do they want to commit? Kidnapping? This is absolutely ridiculous. This is who these people are. And no, Donald Trump and the executive branch are not ignoring court orders, and they are not recognizing other branches. It is exactly the opposite. It is the Article 3 judicial branch that is not respecting and recognizing the power of the Article 2 executive. Now, let's check out the ruling that they keep talking about, this 9-0 ruling that they keep blathering on about. It's not a 9-0 ruling. It was not a complete win. This says the application is granted in part and denied in part, subject to the direction of this order. The order properly requires the government to facilitate Abrego Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador and to ensure his case is handled as it would have been had he not been improperly sent to El Salvador against the withholding order. Not improperly deported, simply improperly deported to El Salvador, which the DOJ is now arguing that doesn't apply anymore because he's a terrorist. But regardless, the intended scope of the term effectuate, which is what the district court put in their ruling, in the district court's order, is, however, unclear and may exceed the district court's authority. The district court should clarify its directive with due regard for the deference owed to the executive branch in the conduct of foreign affairs. Therefore, granted Abrego Garcia withholding of removal to El Salvador under withholding removal only bars deporting an alien to a particular country or countries. In Abrego Garcia's case, to El Salvador, because withholding of removal is a form of country-specific relief, but does not confer any lawful status within the United States. DHS remains free to remove the alien to any third country other than the country to which the removal has been withheld. So that's where we're at right now. So no, they are not complying with any order. It's absolutely ridiculous. They are complying with the order because they are facilitating his release. Facilitating simply means put up no barriers. And they haven't put up any barriers. It is Nayib Bukele who has said he's not leaving. He's not going anywhere. He is a citizen of El Salvador and a criminal and a terrorist, and he is staying right where he's at. So I don't see this ending. And even if he were to be deported or come back to the United States, he would be immediately detained, immediately incarcerated, and immediately redeported. So I want this. This is how the Democrats are once again pushing their party so far to the left. The constitutional crisis in this case is the judicial branch absolutely ignoring the plenary powers of the president, of the executive. Deportation, immigration, naturalization exclusively falls under the executive branch. Illegal aliens have absolutely no rights to due process other than if they were involved. They don't have the rights of due process that American citizens have. They have the right to appeal to a habeas corpus ruling when they are detained and they are sent packing back to their home country. They can appeal to habeas and say, no, I shouldn't be. That's a one-day hearing. It's in and out. It's done. And the administration has complied with all of those requests. In fact, in Kilmar Abrego Garcia's case, he saw 2 immigration judges, both of whom issued deportation orders. So he has seen his day in court. He has gotten the measure of due process that he is allowed as an illegal alien, and he is gone, and it should stay that way. But check out as Jennings just starts to own this situation. Then we're going to get into Miller once again and just reiterate where all this is going and come from.
More than happy to hear the congressman say they're all going to El Salvador. I think for Republicans, this just confirms what we have believed about the Democratic Party and why it currently has a 21% approval rating in Congress. Look where the energy in the Democratic Party is. It's around retrieving illegal aliens from El Salvador. It's around fighting for these college campuses that have been rife with anti-Semitism. It's around biological males who want to play in girls' sports. This is why they are losing to Donald Trump every day, because the energy that Democrats feel comes on all these issues that are fundamentally not where the American people are. More than happy to hear the Congress.
Absolutely right. The Democrats are putting themselves firmly in the camp of the 20%. In a lot of cases, it might even be the 10%. They are firmly ensconced in fighting for criminal illegal aliens against the will of the vast majority of the American public. And they are regardless of what these idiot Congress people say, they are not violating court orders. They are not disrespecting the judicial branch. It is the exact opposite. Listen to Stephen Miller as we close this out.
I understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin, except for Venezuela that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President, no, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way, to Marco's point. The Supreme Court said exactly what Marco said, that no court has the authority to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children. But President Trump, his policy is foreign terrorists that are here illegally get expelled from the country, which, by the way, is a 90-10 issue.
Well, Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago. And they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You know, you have no credibility. Please, go ahead.
President Trump.
So, again, it is not a win. This is not an order to effectuate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They said they must facilitate his return. Now, let me play one more clip on Stephen Miller. See if this is the right one. All right, so check this out.
He would be arrested. He'd be put in confinement. He would be deported the second time to El Salvador again, because there's no withholding order for an alien who's a member of a foreign terrorist organization, number one. Number two is the gang that he's a member of doesn't exist in El Salvador anymore.
There it is.
He would be arrested. He'd be put in confinement.
So if the El Salvadorian government decides, hey, you know what? You guys can have him. We're sending him back. And the Trump administration abides by the court order. They will facilitate his return. They will put up no barriers. And as Stephen Miller said, he will set one toe on American soil. He will be arrested. He will be detained, and he will be redeported back to El Salvador because the withholding order does not apply. Or even if a court stepped in and said, you can't send him to El Salvador, they'll send him somewhere else. Egypt, Jordan, Syria, doesn't matter. They'll send him to any other country other than the United States. He will never, ever live here. The Trump administration is not violating court orders. The only constitutional crisis is the fact that every other president is allowed to deport millions of illegals, but Trump is not, because the globalists run the courts now. The globalist cabal of corruptocrats is firmly ensconced in the courts, and you've got ridiculous, tyrannical, black-robed, inferior district court judges willing to make absurd rulings and are now, in some cases, even backed by the Supreme Court. But that's where we're at today. We got some fantastic news with the Dem Civil War just rolling right along. And we got some sombering news with the courts once again defying the mandate that was given by the voters to President Trump. Hopefully we can work this out. Hopefully it's just a minor delay. In the meantime, the Trump train rolls on. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. Please like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, smash that like button for me. Leave us a note in the comments. Let us know if you like the content. Please share it with everybody that you know. And again, thanks for being here. You can support the channel by becoming a member or on our Patreon. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Check us out. We'll be back tomorrow. And remember, God is good and he is sovereign. It'll all be good in the end. Till I catch y'all next time. Have a great day.